comment? I didn't see anybody signed up for technology public comment,
Was there a sign-up sheet for that?
but is there anyone who like,
Was there a sign-up sheet?
I didn't see one.
Oh, okay. Just curious.
So does anyone have any public comment before we start on agenda items? Okay. Dr. Scheid, tonight we're going to hear it's our first meeting for a while, in a while, and some things may come out that none of us haven't heard about yet. Is that true?
Well, I'm going to refresh our memories from some things that you may have heard previously, but I really want to give an overview of actually what's been happening probably since last spring up until now, so it may sound new.
Okay, so that being said, you can lead us in that review and a refresher, and I know some of your staff has put together some things for us to look at. Do we need to stay up here? Do we need to go down there? Can we watch it on here? Or?
Yes, you can watch it on here.
Okay, so then why don't you take us off on the first, your little introduction to what we're doing, if you have one, and then we'll go into the second item, computing update.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Casper. I really wanted to take the opportunity to talk about a lot of the exciting things that are happening with instructional technology at Pennridge. We haven't had a meeting in a while, as Mr. Casper noted, so I think it's important to give everybody an update. So the first thing I wanted to say is, just for everybody's information, the goals that come out of the Technology Committee are really based on the comprehensive goals. So as the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, one of my goals is the technology, instructional technology goal. So I reviewed that goal, I'm constantly going back to that goal, and that's what we work on in our department. And there are a lot of very important goals as part of the comprehensive our tech IT director and our tech integrators to really start looking at other devices. We certainly believe that what we have the students currently have meet their needs. But I wanted to let you know that the process hasn't stopped. Actually, there is so much more information out there, and devices have changed over time. So we will be seriously considering devices. Should the one-to-one program continue to be approved by the school board, we will continue to look at not better options, but options that may be more cost-effective and still give us what we need. So as we go through that process, we'll be sharing, we'll be giving you updates from between the IT department and the curriculum department. Another powerful tool that we have, and we do give updates through the curriculum department on Linkit, but I do want to let you know that the Linkit system is a data warehouse. It is. But it's also a very robust data analytics system, and one of the goals of the comprehensive plan was to develop data meetings. One of the issues was, well, where are we getting all this data, and how do we put it all together? And most importantly, how do we make it meaningful so that teachers use it to drive instruction? Nothing new comes without pain. So there has been a lot of work, and you know what? So we took the bull by the horns, we set out a plan, we worked tirelessly to get the system in the hands of teachers to make it friendly so they will use it. So we have had really pretty good success so far, in particular with elementary and middle schools. We're still working on the high school, developing benchmarks there, but elementary and middle school teachers and administrators have been provided ongoing support with this. We have had 2 major trainings for our administrators on the development of sophisticated reports. So you really have to look at this system as serving the district in multiple ways. It serves the curriculum, it serves the district office in that the whole curriculum department in terms of administrators can see the content, the curriculum, instructional practices. We can get a lot of information very quickly. This is a system that is very intuitive. Then you have building level administrators who can pull their school-specific data right in front of them and just look at 3 separate classes in 5th grade and be able to see how the students are doing. And are there anomalies? Are there themes? What are we looking at? But the most important thing, in my opinion, is now teachers can just pull their students' assessments, and it's not just the benchmarks. It's teacher-made assessments, it's DIBELS. They have access to a number of assessments. They can look at that. They break that down into standards and skills. So as a teacher, that's what you need to know. You need to know who has it and who doesn't, and then create instructional groups from there and provide instruction from that point. So are we perfect? Is it perfect? No, it isn't. But a first-year implementation, we're pretty proud of that, right? Mrs. Miller, hasn't been easy. The right direction, and we will continue to provide those updates for you, and any questions that you have, certainly please let us know. I also want to let you know that a number of us went to the P&C conference out in Hershey. So it's a technology expo conference, and it was so exciting. It really was. So thank you for the support. We had, I think, 9 teachers, 3 or 4 administrators who went out and chose from a menu of options to explore how they can improve their instruction and how they can enhance instructional technology with their students. Some of the things that I went to were designing engaging online professional development, digital badging, digital formative assessments, personalized PD, Twitter for administrators. I have a Twitter account. You know, I got to network with a lot of people. You start using your Twitter account and you hear from all kinds of people across the state saying, hey, you want to try that? It's a great way to network. We went to, I think there are 3 of us who went to 30 uses for Raspberry Pi. So it was very exciting, and Kara's going to talk more about some of the perspective from the teachers, but I wanted to let you know that went on. Also want to let you know that Hatboro School District is coming to the high school to observe our one-to-one program. And really this is coming out of a lot of network that in particular Karen and I have been doing this year. We've been working closely with Quakertown and Hatboro. We've investigated blended learning opportunities and companies and, really just trying to see what's the great stuff out there. What is it that we can do better here? Well, at the same time, obviously, we're doing really good things at Pennridge. They want to see what we're doing, so there's some reciprocity here. So Hatboro is going to come out. Now, in terms of the curriculum that I talked about earlier for STEM, what we've been able to do was to bring a digital citizenship curriculum to K-5. So we're going to be creating or recreating. There is a curriculum, but we're improving upon it, to be honest, and we're going to be offering digital citizenship to all K-5 students. We're using Nearpod as a presentational tool to bring some professional development online for teachers, because with the elimination of flex in the contract, where teachers had their 14 hours of flex, the reality is that when they had that, and we were offering all different kinds of professional development for teachers, they were obligated to get their 14 hours. Well, that's not there anymore, because the new contract now, it's a system called a trade-off day. So that leaves us with kind of a conundrum, and what are we going to do? What will we do about that? So we are thinking in the department on how to get digital professional development to our teachers. We need to be thinking creatively. We need to be innovators too, so that's one way that we're looking at doing it. Now, the middle school curriculum. Because we're working on the elementary curriculum, we do know that you need to have that whole K-12 perspective. You need vertical alignment. Some of the digital citizenship that's taught at middle level will trickle down to the elementary level, and that is for a reason, because we want to start offering more sophisticated learning at the middle level. We want to add coding to our curriculum. We want to, we're considering, as we develop the new middle school schedule, because we're working on the middle school scheduling committee. Thank you, Mrs. Cullen. And one of the considerations there is how do we take our technology and our computer ed classes, marry them, create a STEM program, and that's a consideration too. So I want to let you know that the ideas are flowing out there. We are working to improve that. We want to offer STEM opportunities to our students. We want to take existing good stuff and we want to improve upon it, and that's where we're going. We also, it isn't ready, but we hope to have it ready next year. We're going to develop a parent university online. So when we go to Dr. Radigan's parent night, or her nights, and we are going to present Canvas, we're going to start videotaping those. We're going to be able to put them on the website. We're thinking about calling it parent universities, and anything that we can do to parents and help, for parents and help them, we'll kind of have a link where they can then access those. So, I couldn't make it that night, but I'm really interested in that. Sometimes it's easier to see a video and watch people do things, so we're developing the parent universities. We really want to help our parents understand what we're doing here and how they can help their children at home. And I know I'm doing a lot of talking, so I'm going to end here. And I just want to remind everybody that our second annual 21st Century Learning Night will be on May 31st at the high school. It was very successful last year, and we hope to be even more successful next year. So thank you for your time. As we develop, as we complete, we will keep coming to the meetings and giving you updates of what's happening, but there is a lot going on in the department. Thank you. Now I'm excited for the next presentation. So, we really did this for just A, because we're excited about it, and B, because iPads have come to the elementary level, and we found out during our survey with the Bright Bites last year, we really have, when we surveyed access of devices, we found out that at the elementary school, there were disparities across the board. Some of our elementary schools had 50 devices, while other ones had 2 devices in terms of iPads. And we were wondering, what is going on here? How were they established and whatnot? So what we found out was, through the tremendous generosity of PTGs, PTOs,
questioning, conduct the interview, and then they went to the classrooms also to observe the students using them, capture videos and photos, and put the entire thing together. So once I established the times and the questions, I was hands off, and these two were in charge. So I'm going to show you the video and then just let them briefly discuss how they put it together, and then they're happy to answer any questions as well. So can they see this? It's up on here. Yeah, but it's up on here as well.
She's still working.
But I get an indicator and it's not working. You're supposed to have it.
Okay, if you go to the second, press enter. Down the bottom. It's on the second slide.
Seems to me.
Here, right here.
What was that thing that Dave Thompson, for that thing we had with the public? What was that? What was that called? Oh my God.
So on the count of, you'll have to click at the same time. Yeah, I was gonna say.
So maybe I would also just mute your computer so there's not dialogue coming from everywhere.
And it actually is muted. Okay, good. So if that works, because we'll hear yours.
Yep.
If that works for everybody, we'll hear it.
See if this one works.
best part of using technology.
I'm gonna have to give them help.
Hi, Mrs. Hager. I'm going to be asking you one question. How has using iPads allowed you to differentiate more effectively?
I love having iPads in the room. One way that we use them is with the Osmo program, and the children can practice the alphabet, but they also can build words and make words. And there's also a math component that goes with Osmo, and a tangigram component that goes with Osmo. So you can differentiate for children who need to just learn the letters, but when you use the Osmo, you can also build words. So some people can do just beginning sounds and ending sounds, and some children in kindergarten can spell the whole word. So it makes it really nice to differentiate that way. Also, the other iPads that we have, we can work on word work for our Daily 5, and there's you can make a folder. So I have a word work folder in here, and I have a math folder in here so the children can practice and reinforce concepts and skills that have been presented in kindergarten. The other thing is there's a lot of programs, a lot of apps, and one of them is called Bitsboard. And Bitsboard you can adjust to whatever level the child is. So if I need to enrich or challenge a student, I can do that. Or if a child needs to just practice letters and sounds, I can make Bitsboard for that child. So it's a great program, and the iPads we need to do it. Thank you.
Hi, this is Kate interviewing first graders from Mrs. Catuno's class. I'll be asking them why do they like the Osmo?
I like the Osmo because it gives us a lot of words and it helps us read and it just helps us spell.
I like the Osmo because it helps your fluency. Those are their answers. Hi, this is Kate interviewing Mrs. Catuno. I'm asking her the question, what are you able to do differently with iPads that you couldn't accomplish before?
Well, I think iPads in the classroom have brought kids into a new age of technology. And I think it's really important, especially in these first grade years, to really get those kids hooked on learning. And since they were born into technology, basically, bringing technology into the classroom with the iPads gives them an opportunity to be familiar with learning and really get them engaged in what they're doing.
Okay. Hi, I'm going to be interviewing a first grader from Mrs. Catuno's class. I'll be asking her why she likes using iPads in the classroom.
Because you get to learn a lot on the iPads. There's lots of fun games on there to help you learn. There's a lot of things to learn on the iPads. Spelling. There's lots of things. And I have so many things. I think it's going to take all day. But I don't know.
this is Kate interviewing Mrs. Holt. I'm going to be asking her 2 questions. My first question is, how are you using iPads in your 2nd grade class?
In our 2nd grade classes, the iPads have become a real strong differentiation tool. We have created different buttons on the iPads where students can access spelling activities, reading activities, writing activities, even practicing cursive handwriting and printing. They can access math activities. In 2nd grade, if students don't need to be going over a certain assignment, we will send them into the hallway with the iPads and have them take pictures of parallel lines or 3-dimensional shapes or pictures of symmetry and come back and report to the class. Another thing we like to do with the iPads is we have our 2nd graders access QR codes that they have created, and they can listen to their classmates reading, and they can assess their classmates' fluency. They can also listen to themselves read through their QR code, and they can assess their own fluency and set fluency goals for themselves. So there is so much we can do in our 2nd grade classes with the iPads.
My last question is, what has been the students' reaction to using iPads?
Oh, the children love using the iPads. We see lots of smiling faces. We see children asking to join groups. We see other children with iPads asking for other children to join in. There has been a lot of collaboration with the iPads, and sometimes children like to work alone with them also. So as educators, we're realizing that these children coming to us in 2nd grade have been using technology for many years already. So we like to think the winds of change are in the air and have been for a while. So we think that teachers and parents and administrators and anyone who's working with children need to adjust their sails to help the winds of change send students on their way.
That's my interview with Mrs. Holtz.
Okay, so I'm going to have Joe and Kate come up and just explain just the what they did to create that film.
So we visited many classrooms, one kindergarten classroom, one 1st grade classroom, one 2nd grade classroom. And we basically interviewed the teachers and some students in the classroom and observed what they were doing with the iPads.
And once we got the interviews and what we saw, we came back and we made it into an iMovie, and we edited the videos and edited music, and that's how we got our final product.
Me and Joey had to collaborate a lot to make this iMovie. I was mostly in front of the camera. I was doing the interviews, while Joey was behind the camera taking the pictures. And I was like showing Joey what students he can take pictures of. And we worked together to make the film how it looks like right now.
You guys have any questions that you wanted to ask them?
I have a question. Did you plan in that one scene where the little girl rises up from when the teacher's talking, her head just pokes up? Was that a planned photobomb, or was that?
Well, she kind of just, I guess she was kind of trying to ask the teacher a question, so she kind of just peeked out there.
It was comedy gold. It was great. I love it.
have a question. Did you film everything on an iPad and then edit it on the iPad?
Yes, we filmed it. We have an iPad that we use for the news and we use it for Tech Club. And we filmed it on that. And then we made it into an iMovie on an iPad.
Great. I would just like to thank them again. Really, we appreciate the work that you put into it. Obviously, you're doing work that you enjoy. I've talked to both of you. And especially thank you for coming out this evening. We do appreciate that.
I'm going to let them
Thank
take
you
off.
to Joey's mom for coming out. Thank you.
Mrs. Hurst, can you just make sure that Casey's are down? So I just have a couple other things just to share from more of a teacher's perspective. I've been fortunate enough to have a few iPads in my classroom through grants and donations, so I've been able to utilize them a little bit. But I also work with professionals from other school districts in a graduate program helping them use iPads in the classroom. So I just wanted to touch on a couple major things that I think the iPads can really help enhance our classrooms. The first focus is formative assessments, and Dr. Scheid was speaking earlier about Linkit, and that is, I can say that that's been a great tool for us, but those are benchmark assessments that are occurring periodically, and there are multiple formative assessment tools and apps that you can see on the PowerPoint presentation that just offer teachers a simple way to collect authentic data on their students. It's great for conducting pre-assessments just to see where their skill levels are on certain units. I use them a lot in math where we approach a new unit and my student that was great with addition and subtraction might not know multiplication very well, and this way each unit I can collect this data. These programs hold the data for us and let us export it and really utilize it. And for the kindergarten to second grade students, these formative assessment tools are much easier for them to manipulate and use versus going on a computer and trying to use the mouse. They just don't have those motor functioning skills as well, whereas the iPad, it's all touch sensitive. A lot of them are used to it. Perhaps they have devices like that at home as well, and it's easier for them to navigate. So these formative assessment tools are really helping us gear our instruction and know exactly how our students are doing as we're progressing through different topics. And we can really gear our instruction towards their needs and their strengths. And the students are just more engaged when they're using these tools. And like I said, for our younger students, it's particularly easier for them to manipulate the touchscreen. The creativity and choice is such a powerful tool. I mean, you saw what Joey and Kate produced, and they may be more experienced than some of my other students, but all of my students are making iMovies. And it can be as simple as using it for vocabulary review or showing their knowledge about vocabulary. And we've also used it for different projects where we're analyzing the chapter books that we're reading. And what I've noticed and what I've read about through different studies is that when you provide the students the power of choice, they're much more engaged with what they want to create. And when I give a student the choice of analyzing a character through an essay or through showing their understanding through an iMovie, I have students that would much prefer to write an essay, and that's the medium of their choice, but other students feel more comfortable in being creative with the iMovie and narrating their understanding versus writing their understanding. And it just gives those students that power of choice and lets them really highlight their strengths and perhaps overcome some barriers. They might really understand what they're reading, but expressing it through writing is difficult for them. And they can really show their understanding through a different choice of displaying that. And also for educators to use these tools, and it can really engage the students, and we can create iMovies and different presentations ourselves that the students find more exciting. It can be as simple as introducing a new topic that we're going to study. And when you put it into an iMovie, the students get more excited versus you just saying what we're about to start. So there's there's so many benefits to these creative apps that are on the iPads for them to utilize. And the last thing that I wanted to highlight, and this is by no means the only benefits of the iPads, but I find these to be some of the most important, is it can really help us meet the needs of our diverse learners. You saw the three teachers that were interviewed talked about the ways that they're able to differentiate and help different levels of students, but there are a lot more capabilities. There's digital and audio books on the iPads. You know, some you can buy and others are free. And these audiobooks can help students that are struggling with decoding but are ready to comprehend at a higher level. Well, we can challenge them with a higher level book and have it read to them so they can still really enrich their comprehension skills and overcome the barrier of decoding. And even books that aren't audiobooks, there's ways on the iPad to have it read the entire story to you. And it doesn't sound as nice as when they set up an author for that, but it still works. And there's another way to, the picture in the middle is kind of showing this, there's a way to convert any online article into what looks like a digital book. And we have eliminated the advertisements, the links, the pictures from it to stop distracting the students, and so they can focus just on the text. And I mean, that's a use K to 12, but for for our younger students, the distractions are gone, and then again, all of that can be read to them. They can highlight the text and they can have a specific word read to them or the entire document. And also, the picture on the right shows the text where it's a black background and white text, and that has actually been proven that it will help students struggling with dyslexia read that. The black text on the white background, the traditional format, causes more issues for dyslexic readers, so they're actually able to more successfully read just by reversing the imaging, and that's a simple setting on the iPad to instantly switch. And there's if we have students that are emerging English learners, having it being able to read to them can help them learn the language, but also there are many apps that can translate for them, and I have a French and a Spanish high school teacher that I've worked with, and I've had them kind of peruse the iTranslate app, was one I found, and they said that it is very accurate, and there's over 180 languages on this app, so really helping our ESL students is another benefit. And just as the other teachers highlighted, being able to easily differentiate for our struggling and our advanced learners at the same time and have everything set up and ready for the students, and they know where to go and they know where to try their independent studies. So it really helps us meet the needs of our learners and develop more of a personalized education for our students. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Those are just the three major areas that I wanted to highlight.
I have a question. Thank you for asking. I think it was in the Sunday paper, they talked about having a font now that facilitates children with dyslexia to read. It changes the slant of the letter for easier identification and differentiation, and the components of the letter, the tall letters are taller. Is that possible to put that on an iPad to help these readers?
I don't know if you would be able to instantly translate an article that you have or a book that's already in there. I don't know if you'd be able to change those settings, but when teachers are creating their own documents, they would be able to change the fonts to those particular ones. I don't know if there's a set font that has those benefits, but if it is, then they would be able to.
Well, I believe it's a fairly new technology, so I don't know that you would just click on a font. I think you'd have to download it or order it or something. But I think that might be something we should look into to facilitate these, the skills for these readers. Thank you.
I agree, and the great thing is when those opportunities become available, the iPads are constantly updating, so when they are, we can hopefully do that.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Just wanted to know, and I'm not trying to be a wet blanket, I know we live in a technological age, but we also know that too much screen time is not good for students. And so when we're incorporating all of this technology into the schools, are we being mindful of not overloading it? Because most of them, well maybe not most, but a lot of them do have screens at home that they're looking at, and they're going to be looking at screens at school. And I would just like to know that they're being balanced and not spending too much time. Too much of a good thing is not a good thing. I like having the iPads. My elementary school is one of the ones that provided all the iPads to the teachers. So I'm definitely for them being used. I just, has any thought been given to that? Making sure we don't overload them?
I totally agree. You can't, especially for our younger students, we don't want them on the screen the entire time. And in my classroom, I'm fortunate enough to have a few iPads and laptops available, and I incorporate it on a daily basis in my reading and language arts block, but it's not them using it for the entire hour and a half. They may have a 15 to 30-minute opportunity to go on there, and it may not happen every day for each student. Every day I have students on a device. However, every student is not on a device every day.
I think that's such a great question. I really do. And we are mindful, and especially since the district really has this SEL motto, and we talk constantly to our teachers about the whole child. What the beauty of the iPad is, and I'm sure this is, it's been said many times, is sometimes we haven't been able to reach our most even relatively severe learners. And I'm interested, Mrs. Miller, in the app that you were referring to, especially as a former reading specialist who worked with students with dyslexia.
I definitely forward the article. Would you like to see the article?
I would.
Use your microphone.
Henry Winkler.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
in
right.
It's in the, they said it's the Hank Zipser book that Henry Winkler writes, and it's the first time it's being used in a printed book, and I believe it's called Dyslexia is the name of the font. I think it was developed by somebody in the Netherlands.
Right, I'd have to, was it, I don't know, was it the Intel or the Inquirer?
It was in the Intel.
Intel.
Yeah, because he's coming to the the Newtown Theater or something on Tuesday night. That's why they had the article about it.
Not far from where I live, I think I will check that out. Thank you.
There's medical recommendations too, based on the age, that it should be this amount of time, so maybe that's something that we can use as a guideline. I don't know if it was the CDC that came out with actual, this age to this age should be this much screen time, so that may be something that we can use as a guide. I actually was able to take a course, a day course, actually it was a couple days at the Bucks County IU had a course with using the iPads for teaching and for helping the kids, and they had some really great ideas and suggestions. Maybe that's something we could look into, offering that to our teachers, because they did a phenomenal job. I mean, the things that I learned that I could do, including locking the screen for my 4-year-old so she can't switch off into other things that she shouldn't be in. So it was really neat, and there was one program actually that they had, that they showed us, where you can take the, you can take any of the language from any article, and you can translate it however you want. So you can translate it like you did on here, or you can translate the font, but it lets you manipulate it in any way you need to for your learners. So so that was something that I found useful. I heard you say something about you're teaching courses at the school. Is that for the teachers, or is that for the students, and is that across the whole building?
I think what I was referencing, I teach a graduate course for a company outside of Pennridge. It's called PD Campus, and this is something that I started doing this year. And my course is hosted at the IU. Yours was probably from a different company, because I'm the first one in Bucks County to teach this one here, but it's the same idea. It's a graduate course for helping educators use iPads in the classroom. And I've had a few Pennridge teachers participate, a lot of Central Bucks teachers participate, because they just had a K-2 initiative where every classroom receives 6 iPads, so I've had a lot of interest from them, but also Council Rock and Neshaminy teachers as well. So it's a graduate course that I teach to teach educators how to use the iPad.
Do you find that all of the teachers throughout the building feel like they've had enough access to learning how to use this as a tool?
I think that in my school in particular, our principal, Mr. Rowe, has been incredibly supportive in the initiative. He's had Brandon Lutz from the Bucks IU come, I'm pretty sure it was every 2 months, I want to say, with embedded coaching, where he was available the whole day, and teachers were able to sign up and bring him into their class, whether he was going to teach a lesson using a technology that they were unsure of how to use, or be there while they were trying a new app or new program for the first time. And I think that's been incredibly supportive and beneficial for the teachers to have that embedded coaching available right there. So I think that our teachers do feel very supported. I think that they would also love to have more professional development for it, because, you know, for some of our teachers, that technology is not a comfort level for them or something that they're comfortable with. More is always better, but I do think that they feel supported. I mean, I can speak that the kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Hager, is very hesitant to use technology and isn't confident in herself, but at the same time, the things she's doing are really great, and to see that from a teacher that sees technology as something she's not confident in, it is nice to see.
Because I guess that would be another concern of mine, is making sure that if we're supplying these tools, that we also give them the, you know, capability to use them. And for the formative assessments that you're able to use, I'm thinking too, it would be nice to have some collaboration across grade level, because you're going to be using those same formative assessments. So if you have maybe one teacher at each grade level that maybe this is more that teacher's thing, you know, being able to share that across grade level, you know, would also be really helpful, and also between schools. So,
if I could just jump in there. We do have the technology integrators, and they have a series of course offerings for our teachers. We want to build more into our catalog, and hopefully teachers will come to those after school. But Chris Brockman spends a lot of time at the elementary schools as well, where Karen does more of the secondary work. Chris is really hands-on, and he has also made a significant difference in terms of how our teachers are using the devices, not just iPads, all the devices. But we're still working on it. Again, I think, you know, there's room to grow. We need to keep improving.
yeah, I've heard a lot of great things about Mr. Brockman and the teachers in some of the buildings wanting to, you know, adopt him completely to themselves, so that, you know, because he's been so helpful in them with helping them with technology and some of the cool things that they're doing.
Yes, they fight over him. I have to keep him in my office. Just, that's where his stuff is. He's not there. But he would like to move into some of the buildings.
Thank you, Mr. Ehrman. Anybody else? Any other questions for Mr. Ehrman? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next, Kara Gersh, who is one of, thank you, Mr. Ehrman. I really appreciate that. Next time you come, you can do a demonstration of your flipped classroom, which is very exciting. Okay, so Kara Gersh is one of our technology integrators. She's going to talk a little bit about, I guess, the Bright Byte survey and the iPads, but also about the P&C Expo and some of the experiences that our teachers had there.
Feels like you okay? Yeah, it was here. It's confused now. Yep, got it. All right. Good evening. Good evening, there we go. I just want to kind of follow up with what Mr. Ehrman was saying and talk about our access in terms of what we have at the elementary school. Last June, for the first time ever, we participated as a district in a Bright Bytes data collection, and what that afforded us was information about technology access, about professional development, about curriculum, about attitudes as well regarding technology use across the district K-12. Some very interesting information we got regarding elementary access that kind of helps to demonstrate a need to pay more attention to our access is what I'd like to share with you today. One of the first things that we saw that there's a great disparity between access to technology among the elementary schools. So in this first slide, we can see that less than half of the time, 42% of teachers say they can have access to the computers that they need for instruction less than half the time. 35% of the time, more than half the time, they can get the computers, and 13% said all of the time. So this is in one situation. If we compare this to another elementary school,
Excuse me, is this recent data?
this is the data this is a review of the data that we collected last June.
Okay.
This is we collected last June. Teachers are able to obtain computers when they need them, and then in elementary school B, we see a great increase in access. We have 32% of the teachers reporting that they can get access all of the time. So if we compare those two data points, we see that there's an inequity. We went and dug a little bit deeper, and what we saw is that where our greatest disparity took place was in terms of iPads. And that, as Dr. Scheid indicated in her introduction, is partially due to the fact that the iPads have been acquired throughout the schools primarily through grants, through donations, or creative budgeting by different administrators. So we have this disparity, and this is kind of in contrast to our comprehensive goal of providing equitable, consistent instruction across grade levels and across school buildings as well. So this data indicates that there's a problem in terms of our distribution. More recent information that we've acquired breaks down some of our iPad issues that we have, and these are our numbers from this month. So if you take a look at this information, we can see that Seiler has the best iPad ratio. They have 5.16 iPads per student, whereas Bedminster Elementary has actually the worst ratio of 18.86 students per iPad. So one of the things that we're going to continue to work on, and we'll monitor our Bright Bites data when we collect it again this May, is how are we doing in terms of creating that equitable experience across our various buildings. It's definitely one of the goals that we have. So this is data that we're continuing to watch and to plan for to again meet those goals of the comprehensive plan. Our next Bright Bites data collection is scheduled for May 9th to May 27th. So at that point, we'll be able to assess not only our access and how we're doing in terms of equity of access, but also our support, our professional development, our access to internet for our students at home as well. And we'll be able to have some comparisons between that data we collected last June to the data that we collect this May. So we're excited and looking forward to that data collection. Are there any questions about that information?
Not a question, a comment.
Yes.
This is nothing new. If you go back and look at the minutes from more than a decade ago, there was a robust conversation among the board and administrators about access to devices. At that time, it was primarily laptops, and the same issue was part of that discussion, which was that outside sources, in that case, particularly the PTOs, PTAs, HSAs, were willing and able to provide this at some schools, but not all. And so this is not a new struggle, I guess is what I would say, but one that we have to be vigilant about.
Absolutely. And if you go back into the data, when you look at the laptops and lab computers, you'll see that there's equity there. And the reason for that is that's been primarily all school or district purchased devices, where that inequity comes in. The device of choice for donation seems to be the iPad. And that's something that we're addressing and beginning to analyze and look at as well.
With Guth, I just have a quick question. There's no lab computers, but they have extra. It appears to be that they just ordered additional laptops that brings them to the same number.
Yes, it is. And the full presentation that has this data explains that. Thank you for pointing that out. When I saw this tonight, I thought, oh, somebody's going to ask that. You did. Yes, Guth made the choice for space reasons, for their instructional design to, instead of having computers in a lab, they chose to take laptops instead. So it was a conscious decision that was made by the administrator and the faculty there. But when you add up the number of devices, it equals the same. And another point to be made is that in previous plans, in terms of how many devices were going to be put at various schools, it was trying to create equity by giving every school X number of computers. But as we know, when we look in this last slide that I added, we don't have equal number of students in every single school. So we need to be concerned, we need to really analyze our per pupil ratios rather than just purely 5 at each school is fair.
I agree with that. And I'm also looking at the charts that you have for specific schools, elementary school A and elementary school B. And there seems to be some differences as far as perception from different teachers as far as what their access is. And I'm just wondering if even within the school, if the teachers are having equal access. Because if some of them are saying, I have access all the time, and others are saying rarely, then what's going on in those specific schools that's showing that,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And it may be a matter of certain teachers planning ahead of time and booking computers ahead of time versus a teacher who's trying to do it kind of more the day before or the day after. Most schools, I would say, have a policy in place in terms of how long you can sign out a cart, let's say, of laptops to be used within your class.